And Larson.
And welcome to Going In Raw's End of Year Report Cards.
Yeah, man.
It's that time of the year, Larson.
Next, let's talk about All Elite Wrestling.
Well, one of the biggest positives this year is they became a thing.
Yeah, they birthed themselves into existence. And now we talked about NWA. They're trying to be a very specific thing. I don't think AEW is necessarily trying to be as specific as...
Oh, they're making such a big deal about going back to Atlanta as if they are WCW.
Yeah, it's essentially the spiritual rebirth of WCW.
Yeah,
what AEW is,
yeah.
Which is fine. It's great. And in terms of doing what... Especially early on, I liked what they were doing because it seemed like they were taking kind of the best from all the various places they probably worked for. They were concentrating on in-ring storytelling, which they were grabbing from New Japan. They were doing some like a select backstage stuff, which we've seen from any promotion. And then, by and large, they had characters had already been established, but they were bringing in some larger-than-life characters still. Luchasaurus, he prides himself on being a dinosaur with a master's degree.
Yeah.
That's a bit out there.
Yeah, sure.
So you get a little bit of everything. You get a good mix of various styles and attitudes towards wrestling. And it's been really fun. It's been week in and week out one of the most fun wrestling shows. Not to say there haven't been stumbles. There has been. They bungled the Dark Order when they first debuted. But now they're coming back around. They're doing some really cool video stuff with them. And it makes me wish they'd kind of done that from the start. And then when they debuted, people would have been so confused about who they were. You can question whether they're handling Kenny's creative well or not now. Adam Page. It seems, though, regardless of how you feel about that, they're making a serious investment and not just building up themselves being the elite, but the roster across the board. They're trying to elevate everybody, develop everybody's character, give everybody an opportunity to showcase their skills. You got Jericho holding it down as champ. That'll probably last till maybe February. And then I feel like once they get to the point where they feel good about the roster in terms of introducing everybody to their audience, then we'll really see the push for the Bucks. Maybe Kenny will finally get the belt. That kind of stuff.
They've brought a lot of excitement to wrestling, and I think that should definitely be rewarded. That should be acknowledged. Mm-hmm. They have done it under an intense spotlight, under an intense microscope, and that is not easy to do.
Nope.
They have a lot of just really terrific talent. They have pulled from very heavily from the, I'm not even going to say top names, but the more interesting names on the independent circuit. I mean, you look at a guy like Orange Cassidy, who granted really hasn't been spotlighted necessarily that much, but whenever he's there, people notice him and they make a big thing about it. They have gone out of their way to be a progressive wrestling company, trying to be all inclusive, and that definitely should be rewarded and acknowledged.
Yes.
And it's really given us an insight into what is it like. And look, throughout the first half of the year, up until and through the first couple weeks of TV, they had captured the zeitgeist to such a degree that their ticket sales for the first batch of pay-per-views for this year were selling out immediately, and to a much higher degree. Like the demand far out exceeded what was available.
Yeah.
So that was all really, really cool stuff. But they have also exposed how difficult it is to book really, really good weekly television. It hasn't been perfect. There has been stumbles. They haven't been able to, and here's the thing, it would be impossible to achieve this. It'd be impossible to sell out every TV taping of the year. That's not possible anymore.
No.
Unless you're running like 2,000 seat venues, but they're running between 5,000 and 8,000 venues.
Yeah.
So, they set the thing about AEW is that, and this is not a knock on them, but it's a truth. They set the bar so high for themselves and exceeded expectations so hardcore the first half of the year that any stumble, any lessening of their steam, which was inevitable, is looked at and shown and claimed to be a weakness by people who just want them for whatever reason to fail,
or a harbinger of their own demise.
Right.
However,
the fact that they have held their own against WWE's hottest property, NXT, and it's not their main roster stuff, but it is the buzziest stuff. It's been a fascinating thing to look at on Wednesdays. I gave them a solid B. I think there are some mistakes they've made that have been odd and kind of like no-brainers, but that's me looking on the outside, looking in. They've got a lot on their plate.
And they seemingly have a plan for where they want to take things.
Yeah,
seemingly.
I think they've got a broad strokes plan, but
I think they have
what they're realizing
larger picture plan.
Is that you can have your larger picture, but the details matter also.
Exactly, and I think we see that with the Dark Order stuff, where they realized their first push with them wasn't working like they thought it would. So, all right, let's go back. What can we do?
Yeah,
and they did a good job of establishing a mythology for them in a matter of a couple weeks.
Yeah,
with those video packages, have been really well done. I'm AEW shill. I gave them a B+.
That's on brand.
Yeah, because I think, like I said, week in and week out, it's the wrestling show I look forward to watching the most. Is it perfect? No, but it's generally the most fun I have. Like the first 3 episodes of Dynamite, I had a smile on my face the entire time watching it.
Yeah,
just because it was such a delight.
Yeah,
and it's still, every Wednesday I look forward. It's the show I still watch first.
Speaking of the show that I watch first, let's talk about WWE's NXT brand.
Speaking of NXT, shill, Steve.
That's me. Look, here's the thing. I don't think there was a stumble this year for NXT. And in fact, if you take a look at their approach to Survivor Series, I think they went even beyond perfection into A+ zone.
Is there something that above and beyond shill?
Even if you take a look at, you can every takeover has been a hit. Everything they've done has been a hit. I mean, do they have some episodes of TV where they're trying to, they need to bolster somebody's record? They have matches that, don't necessarily matter. Sure, that's just sort of wrestling convention. You have to do that because people need time on TV. But they have got the best roster across the board. Well, with the exception of maybe the tag division. That might go to AEW. But they have got the best women's division on the planet. They have got the best men's division on the planet. They are just killing it every single step along the way. They started out on the WWE Network. Now they've made the leap this year to USA. Are they doing the numbers that main roster is doing? No. But they have been effective in, if you could take the cynical approach, and it's probably the true approach to say that they are there to whittle away at AEW, the competition. And they have been relatively successful at that. This past week was very interesting, in that we're filming this on the 16th, where they had, like, in pure viewership, they had an even tie. That was very interesting.
Really a tie when the AEW wins the top demo.
Do you know how many viewers? 0.04.
0.24. It's 0.28 to 0.24.
0.24 to 0.28. So the difference between them is 0.04. Do you know how many viewers that is? Neither do I. But I can't imagine it's really all that much.
I just know one is more than the other.
At that point, it's splitting hairs, though. I mean, it really is.
There was a pretty significant difference. I think AEW was 11th in that demo for the night, and NXT was 18th or 21st or something like that.
I don't know.
Even that short little
but
gap.
The fact that AEW was doubling them in that demographic to start, and NXT has basically brought that back. I mean, it's very impressive. And they're winning the coveted over 50 demo, so handedly. I mean, it's the best. New Japan might have the best wrestling on the planet, but NXT far and away is at least competitive with that, and is far and away the best wrestling in North America. A+, baby.
I'll give it an A. I can't really add anything else to what you said. You're the shill. So you sing the praises of the company. I can't really add anything on that. Takeovers they hit them out of the park with takeovers. TV's been good. there's been some minor things on creative aspect, minor things that I maybe could point out as like that. In terms of how they structure TV, sometimes this is possible because they did it this past week, where they'll book in the show with 2 really awesome matches, and then the stuff in the middle is not really of much consequence.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and if you want to put NXT UK in with NXT as well, I mean NXT UK is arguably worse in that regard in terms of having one really good main event and then a bunch of like matches that kind of happen in between that don't really have much bearing in storylines all that often.
Yeah, NXT UK is an interesting thing. I'm not sure. We didn't really include it in here on its own. What grade would you give that?
Like a B-. Because I like a lot of talent. I just don't feel like I'm given a reason to really be engaged with the show.
You know, now that the show has been around for a little while, I have noticed on Twitter whenever I see jokes cracked about UK, it's that they have too many people on their roster that fill the exact same spot.
Yeah.
And we see that kind of stuff, like the triple threat between Ligero, Connors, and Travis Banks. And it's like they all occupy the exact same territory. And they don't have a mid-card belt. And their only men's single title
Ain't going anywhere anytime soon.
going anywhere. And they book that title always on dominant people. So it's not like you know Walter's taking on Joe Coffey. You think at the next takeover, you think Joe Coffey's taking that title off him?
No chance.
No.
It'll be a perfectly fine match. It'll be a lot of fun. 'Cause
really
I like
good
Joe
match.
Coffey a lot, but yeah, I don't feel like there's a whole lot of drama on NXT UK.
Right.
I just don't feel like there is.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. But that being said, they do have a terrific cast, or they have a terrific roster. I do endeavor to watch it on a weekly basis on the weekends. I did not get to see it this past weekend because I was busy. But no, I would give it like a B, I guess.
And also, if we include 205, I know it's a recent addition to under the NXT umbrella.
If we included it as we've seen it on NXT,
oh, it's great.
holy crap.
But I haven't really been following it on this Friday time slot when they actually choose to air
I
it.
don't consider that canon.
So as far as they're concerned, there's like 2 members of the 205 Live rosters, Angel Garza and Leo
It's
Rush.
all we need. It's all we need. They both get an A to my book.